The month of March officially kicks off meteorological spring, and in this week's edition of the Climate Friday newsletter, we're going to break down what you can expect as we head towards the spring season, and also recapping another winter relatively sparse in the snowfall department. Meteorologist John Burchfield here. If you're not already subscribed, WTOL.com/email. You can get the latest climate and environmental related information each and every week sent straight to your inbox, and we break down topics like meteorological spring and some of the long-range data that we're looking ahead towards mid to late March, and also recapping some of the numbers that we saw in terms of winter snowfall. So let's get into the data, starting things off with the snowfall department, because despite how active February has been, snowfall has been very, very hard to come by once again, and that makes 3 winters in a row relatively devoid of any meaningful snow. Seasonal snowfall just at a sparse 11.1, and that means that we are well below average once again, in fact, significantly so. If you're watching this on Friday, normally we would have close to 3 feet of snowfall with a normal to-date snow amount of 32.1, and that puts us at 21 inches below average. There is still some time during the month of March to pick up a little bit of late season snow, although at this point, we are done with meteorological winter, which is a 3-month period spanning from the start of December through all of January and all of February as well. So we're technically in meteorological spring, but we still do get some snowfall in March. So a normal breakdown. This is a typical meteorological winter, December, January, and February. December kicks things off with a normal half a foot of snow. Needless to say, the last few Decembers have really not been winter-like at all. January takes the cake as the snowiest month of the calendar year with a little over a foot of snow, and February follows suit with nearly as much, with a typical snowfall amount of 10.2 inches. This February, it did bring an active storm track, but we fell well shy of that normal snowfall amount. So how do we fare this winter? Well, December hardly brought any snowfall with just 0.6 of an inch of snow. And believe it or not, that's more snow than we saw last December, which was tied for the least snowy December on record with just a trace. January gave us a little taste of winter, but still only about 5 inches. And February was very much similar in the snowfall department with 5.4. So despite the feeling of being an active storm track with frequent ice storms and even some small snowfall events, the actual numbers show that this winter has not been very snowy whatsoever. So let's break down the month of February in particular and how winter impacted us this month. Our average temperature was colder than normal, so that may be one of the reasons why this month felt a bit harsh. We were 1.6 degrees colder than average with an average temp of 28.3, and that factors in both the daytime high and the overnight low. What's amazing though about February is being colder than average, you would expect we'd get more snowfall. That was not the case, and overall it was a fairly dry month in the snowfall department. We picked up only around half of our normal February snow. The monthly normal is 10.2, and we got 5.4, so a little bit over half of a typical month of February. Our biggest snowfall of the month, well, hardly a snowstorm, but still for this winter, something, 2.2 inches of snow, and that fell over the course of February 15th with 0.7 of an inch, and then February 16th, 1.5 inches of snow. And you may remember that one. It was on a weekend and produced our biggest snowfall of the season so far. So what about recent winter snowfall? Well, these numbers are just looking at meteorological winter. So once again, that starts December 1st and ends the final day of February. The last 3 winters, hardly any snowfall whatsoever. In fact, this winter is the snowiest that we have gotten since 2021 to 2022. It's all relative with just 11.1 inches of accumulation. Last winter was historic in that we failed to even pick up 10 inches. We got 10 inches on the nose in 2022 to 2023, and the years prior, those were some good winters. And you may remember some of that late season February snow that blanketed the region. 26 inches and change in 21 to 22, and over 33 inches from winter of 2020 to 2021. So what can you expect going forward into March? Now, even though it is possible to get some snow and make up some of that deficit in March, it becomes harder and harder, and it's very much statistically unlikely. If you're watching this on Friday, March 7th, our normal high is up to 45 degrees, so of course, well above freezing. Now, the weather outlook is expected to stay colder than average through the start of the weekend. However, March features a rapid rise in temperatures and a quick change in the weather pattern. By the end of March, our normal high is up to 55 degrees, so we are going to see a 10-degree increase in temperatures between now and the tail end of the month. Temperatures going up significantly, representing a 13-degree rise in temperatures from start to finish. April also follows suit with some big changes. If you're looking forward to spring, let's break down some of the numbers looking ahead towards April. Our average high temperature at the beginning of April is 55, and by the end of April surges to 68 degrees as we really enter the heart of the spring season. So a 13-degree rise over the course of March and another 13-degree rise over the course of April, representing a 26-degree increase in temperatures from the start of March through the end of April. Quite the change that happens this time of year. So what about last March? You may remember that one. March really came in more like a lamb than a lion, with a 78-degree temperature reading that happened early in the month on March 4th of 2024. Hardly anything similar to that this March, although we do have a warm up on the horizon for next week. We are not going to get anywhere near the upper 70s. We had 3 days in the 70s over the course of last March, so overwhelmingly it was a very mild start to the month of March, and amazingly the month as a whole was 4.8 degrees above average in the temperature department, which goes to show just how mild last spring started. March temperatures can really be up and down, hit or miss. The warmest we've ever recorded during the month of March was 85, and that occurred in 2012, which was a historic year both in the spring and the summer. And that record was shared on 2 days, consecutive days, March 21st and 22nd. Now, on the flip side of the coin, the coldest we've gotten in March is -10, and that happened in 1948 on March 12th. A wild card of weather March can be, with some ups and downs, hot and cold, and everything in between. Now, the long-range weather outlook, despite a chilly weekend, we are expecting a sizable warm-up, and that is likely to bring mild conditions to much of the Midwest and the lower Great Lakes. So if you stay tuned to that WTOL 11 weather forecast, you are going to see a couple of days in the 60s next week. From Detroit and Toledo all the way down towards Florida, Atlanta, Dallas, and Houston, temperatures will be above average. Now, March is actually going to be a bit chillier than some might expect out towards California and Las Vegas, where temperatures are going to be well below average. We are going to keep an eye on the potential for some colder Canadian air to work its way down into the Midwest, but at least for now, and keep in mind this weather map goes through March 20th, at least for the next couple weeks, we are expected to stay milder than average. Also, don't forget this weekend we enter daylight saving time and spring forward an hour, another sign of the spring season, with a Sunday sunset time at 7:34 p.m. So even though the weather might not exactly scream spring, the time change will make a difference with brighter evenings to look forward to. Well, meteorological spring is already here, and we'll have the latest climate-related information coming up in the newsletter each and every week. If you're not already subscribed, WTOL.com/email, that's the place to go, and we'll see you next Friday for the Climate Friday newsletter.